I'm sick, I'm tired, and I have a giant pimple on my forehead. Let's talk about Dune! Hello, I'm Hot Toddy, and welcome to an all-new episode of Get Real. Going solo for the first time in a long while, and you'll find out why, because I sat through a movie that I wasn't sure Miss Pingrino wanted to sit through. Actually, after I told her, she was like, well, I wanted to see that too. Well, it's alright, you can see it later. I saw it first, so I'm going to do the review on it. It was a movie that I've been really excited about coming out. It's called Dune. This, of course, is the second major film adaptation of the famous Frank Herbert novel. The first one being from the great David Lynch in 1984. Unfortunately, that movie didn't do so well, which is kind of sad because it was a great film for its time. However, this one is doing fantastic in both theaters and streaming, and I wanted to share it with you. If you think you want to see it, you're not real sure, you want somebody's opinion, I'll give you my opinion on it right now on this episode of Get Real. Ooh, I did it twice. I saw this movie 2 weeks ago, and I've been wanting to do a review for it ever since, but I was busy, and then I got super sick, and I've been sick for the last week, and I've been trying desperately to get into the media room here to do this episode, but I just haven't felt up to it, as you probably saw in the last episode of Stump Hot Toddy. Move on to the next question. Yeah, I was a little under the weather. Still a little under the weather, but I'm getting better. My voice is getting better, as you can tell. So I said, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's talk about Dune. And right off the bat, I'm just going to say it. Dune is a fantastic movie. A lot of people say that it's kind of a nightmare of a film just because there's so much going on. There's so much to unpack and so much to unload because this story by Frank Herbert is very big. It's very broad. And you can see that in both David Lynch's version and this one. This version, by the way, is only part one. A lot of people don't realize that before they go. I didn't know before I went into it. This is just the first of a two-parter, and the second part will come out in 2023. So what I like about this film right off the bat is they're able to create an even playing field for the film. And what I mean is the pacing. They take their time and actually do the story, and they don't let it drag. That was something I was really worried about, was that because one of the problems with David Lynch's film is that it tended to drag a little bit. It tended to go on a little too long with things that it shouldn't have taken so long with, and then kind of sped up in parts where you really could have used some time to organize. And that's the thing about his film, is that it's all one film. He didn't do two parts. So they're really exploring the story in this version of the film. And I love that. I love that they're taking their time and hitting every single bit. I've never actually read the Frank Herbert story. I really need to read it. I really need to just sit down and read Dune, and I think I'll do that afterwards. But I've seen David Lynch's film, and I've seen this new film, and I gotta say, I love them both. I really love David Lynch's film as well, but this one holds water in terms of a major blockbuster hit and a film that is, it's still kind of difficult to follow. You really have to get into it and stay with it. It's a lot like, there's parts of it that remind me of Star Wars, because it's all about empires and it's all about taking things that wasn't theirs, but there's an understanding that it's okay to take it, but then there's a group of people that say, nay, you can't have that, and then there's a lot of trouble. So at times in the film, it's really kind of hard to figure out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. The story itself kind of reminds me of, like, not to get political, but it's like the United States. Like in the film, they're trying to take the spice mines from the Spice Planet. This empire, this group of people they're a royal family. They're trying to take over the spice mines so that they can distribute spice evenly to those who need it. But the people who currently own the spice mines are not okay with that, and they don't hide it. There's a group that says we're not gonna comply, and they eventually attack the royal family for trying to take over the spice mines, and it just goes from there. It's a very episodic type story, and that's why, again, I'm glad they're doing this in two parts, because they can split it up and you can really dive in deep about, with each storyline that's going on. One thing to really take away from this is that Timothée Chalamet really wants to have sex with Zendaya. That's a very important thing. But that's the story, is that his character falls in love with this girl. His character, Paul, falls head over heels in love for a girl that he's never met. He's just seen this girl in her dreams. She's on the Spice Planet. She's a part of like the resistance of the Spice people. And so he's having these dreams about her. He wants her. And so when they move to the Spice Planet and everything goes to shit, he eventually runs into her. And we're going to see their story flesh out more in 2023 in part 2. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's something to really take away from this movie, is that Timothy Chalamet, who is the protagonist of the film, really wants to bang Zendaya real bad. They could not have chosen a better cast for this film. Timothy Chalamet as Paul is the perfect fit. Kyle MacLachlan did it in David Lynch's 1984 film. Of course, MacLachlan and David Lynch had a ton of interactions throughout the years. MacLachlan, of course, was on the hit TV series Twin Peaks, as well as the reboot of it a couple of years ago. So they went a long way. They go way back, and so it was natural to put him in that role, and he did a great job in it. But the casting in that film was kind of awkward. Sting was in that film. I'm not sure how that works. I guess it worked for the time, but it's like, I don't know. But in this film, all beats were hit. Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Dave Bautista, Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem, and of course Zendaya. All of those roles were perfectly cast, and they really brought a lot of gravitas to those roles. You know going into this film that it's going to be a high-packed drama type film, but it's one of those things you don't really know how it's going to work. You don't know if everybody is going to hit the beat that they need to hit. But this is perfect casting. Timothy Chalamet is blowing up. He is an amazing actor, and I really love his work, and he's going to go above and beyond within the next few years. Zendaya has already proven that she can, and when you have some hard-hitting actors like Oscar Isaac in this film, you know you're going to go a long way, and it does. And Javier Bardem, of course, as well. Rebecca Ferguson, I almost forgot about her. She does a great job as the first lady of the Atreides, and I mean, she does a fantastic job, and it's the casting. They all work together in a way that we've not really seen in a film like this in a long time. It's been a while since we've seen like a blockbuster film that brings gravitas and brings real acting back to the big screens. You usually have major blockbuster hits, or maybe you might have a dramatic hit. Maybe dramas and comedies don't do so well in the theaters anymore. Even in streaming, they suffer sometimes. But you really see like those two come back together for the first time in a long time, and it's really refreshing to see that. So their acting skills in this film just absolutely blow the whole thing out of the water. I mean, it's fantastic. And the movie itself is gorgeous. The cinematography, the look of it, I mean, it's just beautiful. You have the darkness and the watery look of the Atreides home planet, and then when you get to the Spice Planet, it's like Tatooine from Star Wars. It's all sand, but it's not just sand, and that's it. They create it in a way that makes it look just beautiful, and it's a gorgeous film. So I mean, really, they hit all the beats. They didn't miss a beat in this film, and the sound is gorgeous. I mean, everything you hear, you know, one of the main features of the Dune story are the sandworms. These are giant monsters that come out of the ground and attack the spice mine people, because, well, I mean, that's what the sand itself and the areas where the spice mines are, that's just where sandworms live. And sandworms are these giant worms, you know, these giant creatures. And so, you know, when they come up out of the ground just to protect their own territory, they destroy everything in their sight. So when you finally see that, it's amazing. It really is just breathtaking, the effects that they've done. It was good in 1984 too. There's going to be a lot of comparison here between the two, obviously, because that's the only film that we really have to go off of is David Lynch's film from 1984. And while it was beautiful too, it was beautiful for its time, but it was kind of, like I said, it's kind of rushed through. Because it's one story that he did one movie with the whole story, so it's kind of rushed through, kind of awkward casting, and it was kind of difficult to follow. I got the general story. I knew the story going into this version of it. I knew it, but it was just difficult to follow. what I love about this is the pacing. Like I said earlier, the pacing is it just draws out. Oh. Well, I was going to say, speaking of Oscar Isaac, it wasn't Oscar Isaac. I knocked over Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, off of my Star Wars section over here. It's a bummer, huh? No, we'll put him back. You know, he's going to be in a big movie real soon. The House of Gucci. I look forward to that too. Oh God, oh my God, everything. Oh no, oh God, everything's falling down. This is the shit show part of the review. Oh, come on! What have I done to you? Oh my God, Princess Leia, you've fallen down too! Back to Dune. Dune is a great film. I really, really enjoyed pretty much every minute of it. It really set the tone for new blockbusters coming up in 2022. Really, the relationship between Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson as Paul and his mother, it's a really great casting, and it's a really great fit between them. Their chemistry together works really well. They go on the run together during most of this film, and so it's really interesting to see their dynamics and see how they work. And then Timothée Chalamet and Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa plays probably the greatest character of all time, Duncan, Idaho. I just love that name. It's just so perfect. Duncan, Idaho. And he's a friend of his, and you know, no spoilers here, but some things happen, and his love for the people in his life, and when he loses them, it's really stellar. Timothée Chalamet really brings that power to the screen, and it's something that, again, it's refreshing to see in a blockbuster film. Something dramatic and new. It's not just going through the motions like a Star Wars or a Marvel film. It's really embracing, and it's something we haven't seen in a while. It's a little bit like the movie Voyagers that we saw back in the spring, only it's a bit of a step up from Voyagers. But it's very much like that. The acting skills, the acting ability, and the chemistry between those characters, same attitude, it's the same way, and then this is on a grander scale. So it's really beautiful to see this new era of, you know, of skills, really. It really is. They chose the right people, and we've created a really, really interesting and intricate film. So Dune, I mean, not only looks amazing, sounds amazing, is acted well, it's the whole 9 yards. It's really what you want in a big blockbuster film. Yes, it might get a little boring to the naked eye. You may have to be, what? You know, you may have to say that a couple of times, but give it a chance. Listen to it, watch it, and you will not be sorry. It is such a great film, and I'm a big fan of this version of Dune. So would I recommend Dune? 100%. Again, this is not your typical film for like a general audience, and what I mean is that if you're willing to put in the time, if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to sit, watch, listen, and understand, then you need to go see this movie. It's a great film, you know, for a date night. It's a great film with friends. I don't know if I would take the family to see it, not because it's like there's anything bad in it. It's just I don't think kids will get the same reaction out of it as adults will. So I would say make it a date night thing, make it with friends, you know, or if you're, you know, if your family is all grown, take them all out to see it. That's how I watched it. I watched it on streaming with my parents a couple of weeks ago. But this might also kind of explain a couple of things about the film. We all three started watching it, but by the maybe 25 minutes in, I was the only one watching it because they fell asleep. So again, you have to really want to see a film like this. And I've been dying to see Dune for a long time because, like I said, I love David Lynch's Dune, and so I really wanted to see this one, and it did not disappoint. This film is fantastic. So if you're willing to put in the effort to watch this film, I highly recommend go see Dune. It's in theaters now as well as HBO Max. It's a great film, and I look forward to part 2, which will be coming in 2023. Go see Dune! Okay, well, now that that's over with, I really should sit down and read the book. I've never read Frank Herbert's book, Dune, before, so, and now that that's done, I'm gonna partake in reading the actual book. What the hell?